Intimacy is an act of profound surrender. It is a moment where two souls agree to lower their armor and meet in a space of shared vulnerability. But for so many women, the most vulnerable and terrifying moment is not during the act itself. It is in the deafening and often confusing silence that can follow. It is the moment after the connection when the energy in the room shifts. He may turn over. He may grow quiet. He may seem in a subtle but undeniable way distant. And in that silence, a loud, frantic, and painful monologue begins in her mind. Was I good enough? Did he enjoy it? Does he regret this? Was it just physical for him? Is he pulling away? We as women have been conditioned to see a man's response as a direct reflection of our own worth. And so we interpret his silence, his distance, his shift in mood as a direct and painful verdict on our performance, our bodies, our very desirability. We put ourselves on trial in the courtroom of our own minds, and we use his quietness as the evidence for our own conviction. But what if I told you that this verdict you are rendering upon yourself is based on a profound misunderstanding? What if the story you are telling yourself in that vulnerable aftermath is completely and utterly wrong? What if his silence, his distance, has almost nothing to do with you? This video will pull back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood aspects of the masculine psyche. We will reveal the surprising truth about what a man is really thinking and feeling in the moments after intimacy. Drawing on the concrete facts of neuroscience and the deep wisdom of Jungian psychology, we will decode the complex cocktail of biology, psychology, and soul that is occurring within him. This is not a lesson in how to be a better lover. It is a lesson in how to be a wiser, more peaceful, and more sovereign woman. You will learn to stop personalizing his process, and in doing so, you will find a profound and unshakable peace in the vulnerable silence you once feared. The first surprising truth, the one that will begin to free you from the prison of self-blame, is not found in the realm of psychology, but in the simple and unpersonal facts of biology. The first reason a man often becomes distant after intimacy is due to a powerful and completely involuntary neurochemical crash. During the act of intimacy, a man's brain and body are flooded with a potent cocktail of hormones and neurotransmitters. There is a surge of dopamine, the molecule of pursuit and pleasure. There is a surge of oxytocin and vasopressin, the hormones of bonding and connection. It is a symphony at its absolute crescendo, a peak state of neurological activation. But in the moments immediately following his climax, a dramatic and powerful shift occurs. His brain releases a flood of another hormone, one that acts as the symphony's final curtain call. This hormone is prolactin. Prolactin has two primary and profound effects on the male body, neither of which he can consciously control. The first is that it induces a state of deep relaxation and sleepiness. It is the body's natural mechanism for entering a restorative recovery phase after a moment of intense physical and neurological output. So when he rolls over and seems to fall asleep almost instantly, you must understand this for what it is. It is not a sign of his disrespect. It is not a verdict on your performance. It is a powerful, involuntary biological reflex, as uncontrollable as a sneeze. The second effect of prolactin is even more important for our understanding. Prolactin acts as a powerful dopamine inhibitor. It rapidly suppresses the very chemical that is responsible for the feeling of desire, of pursuit, of being on. Think of it this way. The crescendo has ended, and the conductor has put down his baton. The music has stopped. This is the biological basis for what is known as the male refractory period. It is a temporary state where his body is physically and neurologically incapable of feeling the same level of desire. The dopamine system has been temporarily shut down for maintenance. The result is a temporary feeling of detachment, of being nonverbal, of a quiet and inward energy. This is the great misunderstanding. You, as a woman, whose hormonal system is different, may still be in the warm, oxytocin-fueled afterglow of connection, and you may want to talk, to cuddle, to connect. You interpret his silence through the lens of your own experience, and you see it as a rejection. But for him, it is not a psychological event, it is a physiological one. His silence is not a verdict, it is a state. His distance is not an emotion, it is a chemical reality. He is not pulling away from you. He is in the echoing silence that follows the symphony's final note. To personalize this, to make it mean something about your worth, is to misunderstand the very nature of his biology. The first step to your freedom is to see this moment not as a personal rejection, but as an impersonal reflex. The second surprising truth moves us from the realm of biology to the realm of psychology. While the prolactin crash explains the immediate, short-term shift in his energy, there is a deeper and often more lasting reason for his withdrawal. It is a psychological phenomenon that we will call the vulnerability hangover. Intimacy, in its truest form, is the ultimate act of dissolving the boundaries of the ego. For a brief sacred period, the walls that separate you from me become permeable. It is a moment of profound merging, of surrender. For the masculine ego, which is often built on a foundation of independence, of control, of self-reliance, this level of surrender can feel, in retrospect, terrifying. It is a threat to its very structure. Think of the ego as a king who rules a well-ordered, walled kingdom. During intimacy, he willingly opens the gates and allows another sovereign to enter the heart of his castle. The experience may be beautiful and deeply connecting. But the morning after, when the king wakes up and his guards, his defense mechanisms, are back on duty, he may have a moment of profound panic. He will look around and think, "The gates were open all night. I was completely vulnerable. I must immediately check the walls, reinforce the borders, and re-establish my sovereign control." This is the vulnerability hangover. After the emotional intoxication of a deep, intimate connection, his ego wakes up the next morning feeling exposed, raw, and psychologically naked. Its primal, conditioned instinct is to pull back, to rebuild its walls, and to re-establish its sense of sovereign control. This withdrawal is a defensive maneuver of his ego, not a rejection of your soul. He is not pulling away from you. He is pulling away from the terrifying and unfamiliar feeling of his own openness. He is recalibrating back to his default state of emotional self-containment. This can manifest in a number of ways. He may become more focused on his work. He may need to spend time with his friends. He may simply become quiet and introspective. These are all unconscious strategies to retreat from the boundaryless ocean of intimacy and to stand for a moment on the solid, predictable ground of his own individual identity. A woman who does not understand this will personalize it. She will see his need for space as a direct reflection of her own worth. She will think, "I gave him my most vulnerable self, and now he is rejecting it." But the surprising truth is often the opposite. He is not pulling away because he felt too little. He is pulling away because he felt too much. The very depth of the connection he felt is what has triggered his ego's ancient fear of being consumed. His withdrawal is, paradoxically, a testament to the power of the intimacy you shared. The third surprising truth is the deepest and most mystical of all. It takes us beyond the body, beyond the ego, and into the very soul of the masculine psyche. The biological crash and the vulnerability hangover are real, but they are often symptoms of a much more profound event. The Jungian truth is that in the moment of true intimacy, a man has a direct and often terrifying encounter with his own anima. As we know, the anima is a man's inner feminine, his bridge to the soul, his connection to the vast unconscious world of feeling, intuition, and relatedness. She is the keeper of his own unlived emotional life. For a man who has been conditioned to live in his logical mind, the world of logos, the anima is a foreign and often frightening territory. He is a land dweller, and she is the vast, deep, and unpredictable ocean. The act of intimacy, especially with a woman he feels a deep connection to, is not just a physical act. It is a deep sea dive. In that moment of surrender, his ego relinquishes control, and he dives from the solid ground of his conscious mind into the dark, beautiful, and mysterious waters of the soul, of the anima. Down in those depths, he experiences a sense of connection, of wholeness, of a reality far more profound than his everyday logical world. But for the man who is not a seasoned diver, for the man who is not yet comfortable in his own emotional depths, this experience can be overwhelming. And after the dive is over, He experiences a form of psychological bends. He feels a desperate, instinctual need to return to the surface, to get back to the familiar, predictable, and solid ground of his own logical mind. His withdrawal, his silence, his need for space after intimacy is his decompression. He is not pulling away from you. He is pulling away from the intimidating and overwhelming depth of his own feelings that you have just catalyzed. You, in your feminine essence, have become the portal to his own inner ocean, to his own anima. And while a part of his soul craves that connection more than anything, the conscious, conditioned part of him, his ego, is terrified of its power. So he retreats. He goes back to the logical, controllable world he knows. He focuses on his work. He watches a game. He does something that anchors him back in the masculine world of Logos, so he can recover from his deep and disorienting journey into the world of Eros. This is the most profound reframe of all. You are not the cause of his withdrawal. You are the catalyst for the very experience he is withdrawing from. The intensity of his retreat is often a direct measure of the depth of the connection he felt. The more profound the dive, the more disorienting the return to the surface will be. Your presence has opened a door in his soul that he may not have even known was there, and he is temporarily retreating, not to close the door forever, but simply to catch his breath. We have now explored the three profound and largely impersonal reasons for a man's post-intimacy withdrawal: the biological, the psychological, and the archetypal. And yet, even with this knowledge, the question may still linger in your heart. But why does it feel so personal? Why does his distance feel like a direct and painful verdict on me? To answer this, we must now turn the lens of our analysis away from him and onto ourselves. The reason his withdrawal feels like a reflection of your worth is because of the deep, powerful, and often invisible conditioning that you, as a woman, have been subjected to your entire life. You have been caught in the validation trap, a trap that is set by the good girl conditioning. The good girl learns from a very young age that she is the emotional caretaker of the world around her. She learns that her primary value lies in her ability to make others feel comfortable, to keep the peace, and to manage the emotional atmosphere of any room she is in. She becomes the conductor of the orchestra of the relationship. She believes it is her job to make sure every instrument is playing in perfect harmony. And so, in the vulnerable aftermath of intimacy, when he suddenly goes silent, it feels to her like the lead violin has stopped playing. Her immediate, conditioned instinct is to believe it is her fault. As the conductor, she must have made a mistake. She frantically searches the sheet music of her own performance. What did I do wrong? Was I not sexy enough? Did I not say the right thing? Did I do something to make the music stop? This is the lie that is causing your pain. You are not the conductor of his orchestra. You are an instrument in the symphony too, with your own beautiful and unique music to play. His post-intimacy state is not a report card on your performance. It is a weather report on his own internal climate. You think it is about you because you have been taught that a man's desire is a direct result of your actions. But as we have seen, his inner world is a complex ecosystem of hormones, ego defenses, and archetypal forces that have been in motion long before he ever met you. Your belief that you can or should be able to control this ecosystem is the source of your suffering. This is the work of reclaiming your power. It is the practice of learning to separate his emotional process from your own sense of worth. It is the understanding that his need for space is about his need for space. It is not a secret, coded message about your inadequacy. His silence is about his own journey back to the surface. It is not a judgment on the beauty of the dive you took together. By seeing his process as his own, you are not just liberating him from the impossible burden of having to be constantly on for you. You are, more importantly, liberating yourself from the exhausting job of being the conductor of his soul. You are finally giving yourself permission to simply sit back and to listen to your own beautiful music. So you find yourself in that vulnerable aftermath. You have shared a moment of deep intimacy, and now you can feel him begin his silent internal retreat. You have understood the biology, the psychology, and the archetypal drama that is unfolding within him. You know on an intellectual level that it is not about you. But your old conditioning, the panicked voice of the good girl, is screaming at you to fix it. This is the moment where your practice begins. This is where you transform your intellectual understanding into an embodied wisdom. The sovereign response to his withdrawal is not a clever tactic or a specific phrase. It is a profound and powerful practice of holding your own center. It is composed of 3 simple but not easy disciplines. First, you must not personalize. The very first thing you must do as you feel the old story of "I did something wrong" begin to rise is to meet it with a new and truer story. This is a silent, internal mantra. You must repeat to yourself with a calm and firm conviction, "This is not about me. This is his process." This is an act of radical depersonalization. You are consciously refusing to make his internal weather system a reflection of your own worth. You are not a helpless villager being battered by his storm. You are the wise and compassionate observer, the meteorologist of the soul, who can look at the storm and say, a pressure system is moving through him, without believing that you are the cause of the rain. Second, you must give generous space. The most powerful and loving thing you can do for a man who is in the midst of a vulnerability hangover is to give him the one thing his soul is craving: space. Your conditioned impulse will be to try and close the distance. You will want to ask, "Is everything okay?" You will want to seek reassurance. You will want to cuddle, to talk, to process. But these actions, while born from a loving place, are a subtle form of pressure. You are asking him to perform for you, to manage your anxiety, at the very moment he is struggling to manage his own. The sovereign response is to give him the unspoken permission to be in his own process, without needing him to report back to you. Your quiet, non-demanding presence is the greatest gift you can offer. You are the lighthouse. The ship has sailed into a temporary fog. You do not chase the ship into the fog. You do not frantically flash your light, demanding that it return. You simply and powerfully hold your own ground and keep your own light shining, trusting that he is a capable captain who will find his way back to shore when he is ready. Third, you must return to your kingdom. This is the most practical part of the discipline. While you are giving him space, you must not simply sit there in the quiet, waiting for him to return. That is still the energy of the beggar. You must actively and joyfully return your focus to your own kingdom, to your own sacred garden. You must become the sun again. Pick up a book that you are genuinely excited to read. Put on a piece of music that nourishes your soul. Make yourself a beautiful cup of tea. Continue to be the architect of your own beautiful, full, and peaceful life. This is not a performance of being unbothered. It is the genuine act of re-engaging with your own sources of peace and joy. It is a powerful declaration, both to yourself and to the universe, that your well-being is not on hold while he navigates his own inner world. The sun does not stop shining because one planet is temporarily hidden by clouds. It continues to radiate its own warmth from its own unshakable center. And it is this very warmth, this very consistency, that will ultimately be the most magnetic and reassuring beacon for him to return to. We began our journey in the vulnerable and confusing silence of the aftermath. We have traveled through the corridors of his biology, the defenses of his ego, and the deep, archetypal landscape of his soul. And we have arrived at the final surprising truth. His post-intimacy withdrawal is a complex and profound cocktail of neurochemistry and psychology that is almost entirely about him. It is his hormonal crash. It is his vulnerability hangover. It is his soul's terrifying and beautiful encounter with the ocean of the anima. It is his process, and the most powerful and loving thing you can do is to honor it as such. This is the art of impersonal love. It is the ability to see that another person's behavior is a reflection of their own inner world, not a verdict on yours. It is the wisdom to stop being the conductor of his orchestra and to become, instead, the calm and appreciative audience to your own. The surprising truth is that the most magnetic woman is not the one who rushes in to fix his withdrawal. She is not the one who demands an explanation or a reassurance. The most magnetic woman is the one who has the sovereign confidence to give him the space he needs to navigate his own inner world, all while she continues to joyfully inhabit her own. She is the lighthouse, steady on her own shore. She is the sun, radiating her own warmth. And a man of substance, a man who is on his own path to wholeness, will always inevitably be drawn back to the woman in whose presence he feels safe enough to be truly and completely vulnerable. He will always return to his sanctuary,